Hi everyone, Rachel Jensen here, broker owner of Realty Belize on the beautiful island of Ambergris Caye. We are in question number 80 today of our In the Inbox series. This is a series of when we answer questions that have been asked by folks like you about the real estate industry here. So we are already on question number 80. If you are new to this series, take a listen to this session and then tune into the 79 before this. There's really great information that will be important for you to know as somebody who's looking at real estate here in the country. So this week's question was asked from Jen, and Jen said, what is the standard split for a rental property in Belize? And she was referring to a property management, rental management split with a rental management company here in Belize. So the answer is it just varies completely. And I can give you the generalities here. And then I do have three examples, three case studies that we can dig into to see the differences between the three places that we pulled the information from. Now, this is all very general information, and of course it varies on where the property is, who is renting the property, and just what property it is overall. So generally, very generally, rental management fees range from 10 to 50%. And that would be the fee that would go to the rental management company. Typically, nightly rental, you'll tend to see that rental management companies are charging anywhere from 20 to 50%. For long-term is determined as being 6 months or more. They'll typically charge about 15 to 20%. Now, that is a huge range, and it varies because it really depends on what's included and how experienced the company is. Now, I'm going to just highlight a couple of services of what could be included and why it may vary. But you can see here that some rental management companies will pay for, on your behalf, the utilities and the taxes for you. So you are still the one who's ultimately paying for it, but they are paying for it for you on your behalf. So they'll pay the electricity companies, they'll pay the internet companies, they'll pay your property taxes, your income tax in Belize. That's all taken care of. So it really is like a turnkey operation. Sometimes it'll also cover housekeeping. Sometimes that's an additional fee. In addition to that, they may have a concierge or a front desk that's there for the guests to be able to accommodate them, help them, answer questions, get them set up on tours. They might also do property maintenance, and that could be included in that HOA fee. So landscaping, for example, making sure that the building is good to go, your unit is good to go at all times. That could be a separate fee though. If somebody has a single family home, that could be a separate fee than the rental management fee. In addition to that, booking a referral agent or acquisition fees. So if you think about it, in order to get a renter to your property, they're going to need to market your property on different outlets. So there's booking.com, Expedia, TripAdvisor, Travelocity. These are all called OTAs, online travel agencies. And OTAs can get fairly expensive. Expedia, for example, usually charges about 25% of the gross. 25% of the gross is what goes to Expedia or booking.com for bringing in that referral, bringing in that client, that guest to you. So if you go back up and you see for nightly rental, they're only charging you 20%. Well, the numbers aren't really going to be working out there. So sometimes this is included in the fee. Other times it comes off of the top. And then the split is after that acquisition fee is already thrown into the mix. So do note that that is a really important one for you because that can get very expensive. And especially if they're charging you a 50% fee, but then they're also taking out that acquisition fee off of the top, it can get to be a lot of fees. In addition to that, there's credit card fees that may be included, may not be included. Typically, it's about 3 to 4%. Some companies will do storm preparation for you. So here in Belize, we have rainy season. We also can have hurricanes. It doesn't happen all that often, but it can happen. And so some companies will prepare your condo or your home for you if that is something that is coming. And then some fees also include an HOA override. I can think of a couple places here on the island where the management company will take a couple of points from what they receive and they'll give it to the HOA. That was just an agreement that would have been worked out between their company and the HOA. So it's a big variety. Obviously, it depends on the property that you're at specifically, but it's also very important for you to understand what your expenses are going to be. Generally, you'll be getting HOA bylaws and a rental management agreement. If you are coming into a property that already has the rental management taken care of for you, you'll want to make sure you read line item by line item to ensure you understand what your expenses are going to be. In addition to that, if the property is already renting, you can typically request a profit and loss statement, a P&L statement. Not all places have them. It's generally the more established rental management companies that will actually produce a nice report for you. I've seen a lot of reports here that are just little Excel documents. And I'm like, anybody could have put this together. You know, my nephew in ninth grade could have put this together for us just to send it to us. But there are companies here that are a little bit more professional than that, or just generally not mom and pop. And that's okay. Mom and pop operations are fantastic. And you can typically get a lot more one-on-one customer service and just service with them generally. But then when you have some of the bigger establishments, the bigger properties here, you are going to have a more centralized and regulated system, for example. So this is case study number 1. This is from a property here that has about 65, 68 units. And the condo that this is on is a $138,000 condo. Please note all of these prices are in US dollars. Now, off of the top, follow my cursor here. Off of the top, they take off a 25% acquisition fee. So this is what I was talking about before, and they're going to pay that to Expedia, Booking.com, Airbnb, however it is their renter comes in. Off of the top, they're also going to be paying taxes and the banking fees. And the banking fees could be credit card fees, wire. People don't really use wire, but it's just something that could be considered an expense here in the expense section. Now, once all of those are taken off from the top, then there's a 70-30 split, 70% going to you, 30% rental management. And then you're also able to see what else you pay. So you'll pay the utilities, which is water and electricity. And then there may be some work orders on your property. But generally, I think this is a very straightforward P&L statement. And they cover quite a bit in their rental management. Housekeeping is one, for example. The next two that we look at, housekeeping is not part of it, but part of that 30% housekeeping is part of. So again, I think it's very general. This was from January, February, and March of this year, 2024. And you can see at the end of the day that the owner net about $3,700 for January, February, March altogether. Now, I think that's pretty good on a $138,000 condo for the first quarter. This is also considered high season, so this is probably going to be one of the higher quarterly statements. But you can see that everything was paid for. This covers all of the HOA, right? Because this owner elects to have the HOA taken out from his rental income because he doesn't want to have to send money back and forth. So this comes right out. You can see that they paid the taxes there. When in April is when they pay property taxes in Belize, so he would have the money taken out from his next month to have his property taxes paid. But very comprehensive, very straightforward. Easy to see what's getting paid and then what the owner nets at the end of the day. Again, this is all in US dollars. All right, let's take a look at the second case study. So this is one that's from a pretty big complex here. It's more like an Excel, I would say, versus a QuickBooks. The other one we just saw was QuickBooks. But I just pulled here the first quarter. They sent the whole report for the entire 2023. But in these screenshots here, I just did it from the first quarter. So what they did that's a little bit different is they've sent out the arrival and departure dates, how many nights the guest was here, the revenue, the tax, and the management fee, and then what the owner was netting from that. Now their fee is about 40%, and they take off the tax and the management fee from the top, right? So something that's not part of the management fee that we'll see here, the direct expenses, is the housekeeping charge. So the housekeeping charge, and then also just like this is very common, is the utilities are paid for by the owner. And you'll see that in all three of these, but you can see that they charge for the electricity, the water. They charge a common grounds fee that is different from the HOA fee. Here, HOA fees are charged on a quarterly basis, but they also have that common grounds fee that's not included. So theirs is pretty straightforward. What I don't see in the direct expenses is any credit card fees. So I would just double check to make sure that that is being accounted for. And the other thing I don't see are the booking agent fees, but because their management fee is higher at 40%, I'm going to assume that the rental management, that the acquisition fee, the booking agent fee is included in that 40%. So that's a safe assumption knowing this property, but you can see that their fee is higher, but they include that fee in there, but they also charge you for housekeeping. So again, these little things are very important. This is on a condo that's about a $325,000 condo, a little bit north of the bridge. And then on here, this, because the P&L statement was for the entire year, their net income after expenses was about $12,000. All right, this is also in US dollars. Now let's take a look at case study number 3. So this one's a lot more intricate. This is a branded hotel here on the island. You can see there's a little bit more, it's a lot more in depth than the last statements that we looked at. They do get their monthly statements and the breakdown as you see here. So what I want to highlight is right here at the top in the beginning, the rental activity statement. So you, again, just like with the last company, we saw the arrival, the departure, how many nights they stayed for, what the income was, and what the hotel got. The hotel share right over here, that we call that management fee. The hotel share is about 35%. So you can see if that's taken out, and then you have the revenue that the owner, that would be the adjusted gross for the owner. And then from the adjusted gross, and from that number, then we also have the fees taken out. So I put it over here, but you have the referral agent fee, that's 2.5%. You have the FF&E reserve at 5%. I actually really like the fact that there is the FF&E and the CapEx, because what that means is money is getting allocated towards the upkeep of the property. And this means that when they need a new couch or a new bed for your unit, that the money will be coming from the FF&E. It is not necessarily something that you're going to outlay. And then the CapEx over here, that goes for the general upkeep of the building. So you know that the building is being maintained. They can pull money from there if there's anything that they need to fix. So because it is a hotel, a branded hotel, they have that fee of 6%. Credit card fees, you can see that they're putting in here at 2.6. Marketing fees to market the property, 2%. We mentioned CapEx. And then they have the members points that they have a 4.2%. So you can see that it comes out to about 60% in total of what's being taken out in terms of fees, and also not part of the management fee is the housekeeping. So you do see that as a separate expense, but right down over here. But with that being said, you can see that this owner net about $7,600 just for 1 month. This is just 1 month. So even though his monthly fees are higher, because this is a branded hotel with a lot of pull, they tend to get higher occupancy than properties that have a lower management percentage. So sometimes when people are so hung up and tied up on what the percentage is, the real question is the property making money? What does your occupancy look like? What does your average daily rate look like? And if they're meeting high occupancy, if they have a very healthy average daily rate, there's likely a good chance that you're going to be making more money than a property that has very low occupancy and a lower average daily rate. So this is specifically from a branded hotel, again, higher fees, but you can see that they are, that they're doing quite well with this property over here. This one's a little bit higher. This is about a $495,000 condo. And this is just 1 month of rental at about $7,600, again, all in US. So as you can see, there's a big variety. It depends entirely on the property that you're looking at when it comes to what that management fee is. And I always recommend that you reach out to us at Luna Realty Belize. If we're able to get our hands on it, we'd love to send you the P&L statements for each of the properties. Again, not all of them are going to be as organized as these that you're seeing here. Some are really just a lot simpler Excel spreadsheets, but doesn't mean they're wrong or there's anything wrong with them, but they may be a little bit simpler to read. These are very in-depth because it is a big corporation that's producing these reports here. So with that being said, it all just varies. There's no perfect answer. There's not just one answer to that question there that Jen asked. But if you are new to the Belize real estate industry here, please do reach out. We have a ton of resources that we can send your way to ensure that you are getting all the information you need to make an informed decision here in Belize. My name is Rachel Jensen, broker owner of Luna Realty, and we hope to see you down here in paradise. Bye, everyone.